for being on an episode with me.
Of course. Yeah, this is a long time coming.
7 whole days.
7 whole nights.
And not a word from you.
I'm saying.
And I'm just about through. I can't
Just
take
about.
it,
Can't
take it no more. You
I
know?
mean,
Had about enough of you. I'd rather be on my own. Okay, anyways.
Come on, Tony.
So, contextually speaking, some episodes are because I think of a topic and I go search out a person who is really well versed on that topic. Some episodes are I meet a person and I'm like, people need to know who that is.
Okay.
You are that.
Wow. All right.
You are the latter, right?
right.
Sometimes the topic is the inspiration and sometimes the person is the inspiration. And this time around, the person was the inspiration.
Wow. That's quite flattering. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, you are a very interesting combination of things.
All right. I'm seeing that there's some unpacking that sounds like it's going to take place. So
no, and as I said before, you know, my biggest thing for meeting you was like really having this deep understanding of being like, oh, this person is like such a beautiful personification of Black love.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like, it's just everything you do. It's like it's in your actions, it's in your essence, it's in it's I specifically say actions because I think love is an action.
Yeah, it is.
I think it actually only exists as an action.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's an idea. An idea that is intended for action.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
It's not meant to be in the abstract.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's meant to be like brought into reality, for
Right.
sure, right? Which is also kind of the conversations we had where it's like,
True.
Love is an idea that is expressed through action in reality. But literally, like everything you kind of do or put your hand to is some form of an expression of Black love that I've witnessed. And I was like, huh. And you also have this way about you where you don't have to like say too much. You just gonna do.
Okay.
And then you let people tell you and you be like, oh, thanks. You know, you little fake humble. No, I'm just saying, you humble in real life. You humble in real life, but it is like
Okay.
you just don't have to say too much. You're just going to do and let your action speak for you, and your character speaks for you. So you don't have to like express to people, I really love Black people. It's like there's never a time you've had to say those words to me, but it's one of the most immediate things I picked up from like observing how you move.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's. Thank you for the observation. That is the first time I've heard that, and. Well, I receive it. I appreciate that. That's a very nice and kind gesture. I appreciate that.
You're hilarious. He's like, I'm trying to get it right now. And so one of the things I wanted to make sure I did this time is kind of paint a picture of like, not only like who you are, but like how you're embedded into the community of Dallas. I always tell people like, if you care about arts and culture in Dallas, you need to know who this man is.
Oh, wow.
That's
okay.
that's how I view it.
Okay.
So can you kind of like give me a little bit of the journey, because you're from Dallas, Texas, born
That's
and
right.
raised right around here. We
Yes.
near MLK.
Yes.
So we already know what the background.
You
like.
better know it. If you don't know that, it's something wrong.
You know what I'm
something
saying? You
very,
also
very
good
wrong.
on any MLK, but you don't always be going.
No.
It's like I'm too grown for that.
Lord no. Oh my gosh. No.
But
yeah, I mean, growing up in the South, in Dallas in particular, of very, very humbling beginnings. Humbling beginnings that I didn't really know, at least early in life, didn't know were humble. I just figured, this is where I am. This is where my family is, and this is where I love and where I want to be. Grew up in the housing project. Stayed in the southern sector.
You grew up in projects?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. I know
Fraser. You had humble beginnings.
Oh, yeah. Housing project, Fraser Courts. Yeah, not too far from here.
Negros.
Yeah. There's levels.
I've reached them all.
There's levels. Yeah. The conversations that we will have, I'm sure. But yeah, grew up in a housing project, and then moved from there on to another area within the same neighborhood and community for the latter part of my adolescence. And just a kid who was naturally curious and creative.
Yeah.
And that was inspired by, all kinds of things around me. But, my grandfather was a tinkerer, so I picked that up from him. But yeah, just a little kid who lived in his own little world. And as I gotten older, I found my way in creative space as an artist, a visual artist, exploring that through the things that I could. Mostly it's like drawing and things like that. But the neighborhood and the community that I grew up was like many people in the South who were Black, impoverished, in different ways. But, thugging my way through it,
Thugging with the rounds.
Yeah. Thugging my way through it the best way I knew how.
Yeah.
All the things you can think about that have been portrayed in movies and films about growing up in the inner city. That was me. And the people that I was around. So, but became kind of a student of the city. As soon as I could get on public transportation myself and realize that was my passport, to understanding the place that I lived. And so that's what I did. So 7th grade, my grandmother grabbed me one time and was like, we're going to get on this bus. You're going to pay attention. You're going to get this bus schedule. We're going to get on here. You get off here. This is where your school is. And then when you get back on here, and then it gets you, you take these buses to get you back to the same spot that we started. You got one time, and then that's it, and I had to pay attention.
Yeah.
And I did, But once I realized, that was freedom,
Fair.
for me. That was freedom for me because all I needed was 35 cents to jump on the bus, and I could go wherever that bus. I reached the end of the line and just ride it back. And so riding on a bus, what you do, pay attention. Just look out the window and see where you are. And that's how I started to kind of learn the landscape of the city. Having to, traverse back and forth every morning to school, but also when I had my own time, and my grandmother, it was a day and time my grandmother didn't really worry about it.
Yeah.
I jump on the bus and go, and so that's how I kind of began to understand it through my own lens without anybody telling me, oh, don't go over here or don't go over there or this, and this, It's like, where was the bus going to take me today,
Even at that age, did you have a sense of arts and culture?
I wasn't, not as much. I take that back. Let me backtrack a little bit. One of the things I'll say it was key and was important is the school system here in Dallas. When I was growing up, it was a part of our education to go to museums and go to Broadway performances, here. So we saw musicals, we went to museums of all kinds of science and art and all of the things. So that was about the extent of it, and then whatever activities I was doing in school. But the idea of it truly being one of my own culture and being enriched by it, no, it's more or less, well, this is just what we do, to some degree. But it was somebody somewhere along the way thought that was important to kids, growing up at the time when I was growing up. So that was fun, and probably the next element would be in high school when I was taking tech theater. I learned about lights and stage settings and things like that. But that was about the extent of it. The majority of it was just me loving art and understanding I had a talent for it, and understanding that I needed to try to explore it as much as I could with whatever resources I had available, which tend to be just a sketchbook, and so I filled the sketchbook with pages and pages of drawings and all kinds of things. And I had, luckily a cohort, a co-conspirator really more with my cousin, because we were both the same age, and so that was our thing.
Yeah.
We played with the Transformers and the G.I. Joes and Saturday morning cartoons and all of those kinds of things, and comic books. Comic books was kind of the gateway drug to, the art thing, which is why I think they're so important.
And then you went to, where was college?
I went to Texas A&M Commerce, which
Okay.
used to be called East Texas State
Okay.
University, and that's where I got my formal education in art.
Okay.
Yeah, so there I studied painting, illustration, and graphic design. Yeah.
All the things.
All the things. Yeah, I managed to not just focus on the one. I was lucky enough to have a relationship with our department head, and he helped create a program for me that was specifically, just mine. Like, these are the things that I want to do. And he's like, all right, we'll just put it together. And boom, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I lucked out in that regard.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then you also go on to, you have a story of teaching somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right now you run a city for artists. Like, how did we get all the way up to here?
Well, I think part of it is, which is, I think early on the rougher part of the conversation about how I got here and how I even end up in education. I always kind of share this little anecdote with sitting in my contemporary issues class in college, which is where we just studying contemporary art, and one of my professors decided to tell our class, nobody really asked him, but he's like, yeah, if you're gonna go into arts, you got one or two options. You can either be a starving artist or teach, And
That is interesting.
he felt the need to tell
Because both are
us that.
starving, but go ahead. But it is interesting,
It
because I
is.
don't think many teachers see themselves as creatives or artists. Let me speak for myself. When I was an educator, where I was a teacher specifically, I'm still in education, I never looked at myself as that way.
Okay.
But I do think that it makes sense to me that a lot of artists I meet are also in education in some way, shape, or form.
Well, yeah, because they're not. It's not a part of. Even in 2024, it's really not a part of the education you receive in the arts. No one talks about careers in arts administration and other different ways of having a livelihood and supporting the work that you want to do. It's either sink or swim. One way is there's no nuance in between the two. So that's what he kind of laid out, which led me to believe that what most of us believe, like either you were going to make it in education and just do that, so you can support yourself, or you can, jump out on a limb. And my humble beginning said, you got to take care of yourself, because you can't come back to the crib.
Dude, you about to get a job.
You
I
got
know
to go
that.
get a job.
You gonna go get this job.
Right, which is evidence of the lack of knowledge, education, and the lack of wisdom that my professor had in terms of what you got a captivated audience and you don't provide them any other light at the end of the tunnel. This is it. This is your options. And so I did what anyone who's from my background would do.
Yeah.
And so I went into education, graduated. I got an opportunity to teach middle school, and it was sweet for a little while, but middle school's a mother. I'm gonna keep it. But
Also,
it was 3
yeah.
interesting years.
You know, you're a little bit of a grumpy old black man.
I
love
am.
it. Just a southern old black man.
I am.
Telling kids get out your yard.
Look,
you know?
I was all the way.
I'm a fan.
It's, I think it's room in the world for grumpy old me.
They're absolutely. What? Who else is getting people together?
Yeah,
You need some. Hey.
Yeah. Get right.
A little get right.
Yeah. But yeah, I started teaching middle school. Did that for 3 years and realized I'm serious about my craft.
Yeah.
And so I want to be around people who have some level of seriousness. I want to continue to teach. And, I did my homework and figured out, all right, in order for me to move to the next level, to skip the high school, I want to go straight into the college thing. I had to go get a master's degree, so I did that. So I got a master's degree, and thankfully through some networking and connections, I got teaching opportunities, and made a go of it for almost 10 years. Teaching here in Dallas County colleges as well as Tarrant. Mm-hmm. So I was just going back and forth campus to campus, adjuncting, and making a living, out of it. But in that time, I realized there was a lot of things that I didn't know that I needed to understand about being a professor, one, but also that, there are other things I could be doing. And I have to give credit to a colleague of mine who's an arts administrator in Austin. She kind of opened my eyes to what city government's role is in the arts. And she introduced me to the very department that I work for now, and kind of laid out just really the area that she was in, which was public art.
Yeah.
And through that, I began to understand, there are other ways for artists to sustain themselves and still be in their craft. Yeah. And public art was just one of the ways. So, I just started to build my network, continue to learn. And then, I realized I had some skills I picked up from graduate school, particularly in gallery management. Mm-hmm. And I decided that, I wanted to go the route of being a curator. And so that's what I did. I started finding opportunities to curate shows and exhibitions. Still practicing my craft, but mostly just kind of matriculating into that. Again, building my network and understanding who are the people doing what and where. And, again, my colleague kind of go over here or go over there to, different places and have these experiences. But curation was what I really gravitated toward from my graduate work. And so from there, I just kind of started to move in that direction. So different opportunities came my way, whether I was actively, seeking those out or via networks and people who I met. So that's what kind of started to move me in the direction where I am now, which is as an arts administrator, which I've really been an arts administrator, been here about 7 years almost, but I've been in arts administration for probably closer to 10 years, in various roles. As a curator at the African American Museum. I served on the Cultural Affairs Commission, served on the Public Art Committee, and then various and sundry projects all over. So.
Just a little start on these hoes right quick. You know what I'm saying?
A mess.
Just
a mess.
Just a little something.
A little bit.
And I know, I can, specifically with you, I would love to ask this question because you have an even bigger scope of it, is the more I begin to create, the more I begin to see how art infiltrates all aspects of society. And in some ways even dictates it.
Very much so.
And it's in it's interesting circle of both it dictating it and it representing it on both ends of that coin. But I would love to ask you specifically, who taught humanities, which I didn't even know was a thing until we had a conversation. I was like, what does that mean? You're like, the arts. I'm like, oh, all of it.
All of it.
Can you speak to kind of like if someone if speak to the idea of is what I'm trying to say of like the value of and what art means on a societal level, because I don't think people always really give a large consideration to how like deeply important art is, not just from the sense of like, the kids need art, but like no, like your entire life as a human being in this country anyway is dictated consistently by art in some way, by artists and creatives in some way.
Sure. So the way I would look at it or approach that question is we are born with creativity in us. I think. I know we're born in creativity within all of us, and we have the opportunity to explore what that is or what that looks like. And this is why you have, for many, many years, art is always, the arts in general are always some part of your education, your upbringing. I can remember in elementary school taking, band, as it is. And I kind of remember my teacher, but what I mostly remember is having this tuba that she decided that was going to be, and the thing was bigger than me, but I was toting it around the best that I could. Would I have ever been a musician? I don't know, but the opportunity was there, and so I think because that opportunity is there for us to explore the creativity, those things shape the world around us, in that we take that same creativity and we can apply it to so many other things. And the creativity is, at the essence of it, problem solving.
Yes.
Okay? And that's one of the things that I share with artists, is like, this is problem solving. This is taking abstract things and making them concrete.
Ooh, yeah.
And learning that you have all kinds of tools and resources available to you. It could be on a spreadsheet, or it could be on a canvas. It could be constructing a skyscraper, or, constructing a pot, whatever those things are. But the idea is that this thing in our head, this gray matter, is used in part. I mean, this is part of the reason why we study the brain and what fires when things happen, is that there's a part of your brain that is intended for creativity, and for you to explore that. And when all of that stuff is firing, it means you're problem solving. You're figuring out how to take the tools you have and make something. And so all kinds of products and things, and I don't literally mean products, but like all kinds of inventions come from that. And so that's why I think the creativity, whether it's called art, science, or engineering or whatever, the creativity is at the heart of that.
Yes.
And that's why it becomes a part of our entire world, why we look at ways of how do you traverse a continent in a way that doesn't disturb completely disturb the magnificence of what God has created, but we're allowed to explore it in a safe way, and experience it. And you got to have engineers who are thinking about ways to do that, and make it possible. So you can go out and get to the edge of the Grand Canyon safely and look at God's majesty. But somebody's got to create a way for you to get there safely,
Yes.
So there's a practicality in it. But the bigger picture is like, all of this is derived from some level of creativity, and inspiration that we have in us. And it can go all kinds of different directions. So it's 100% all around us. And we all have the ability to tap into it. It's just about what opportunities are there to cultivate that. What opportunities are there for somebody to inspire you and say, yes, absolutely, you can do that. Yes, try this out. Put this in front of the person and see what they do with it. Or not just put it in front of them, show them how to use it. Show them how to use it, and then give them the freedom to explore the possibilities beyond that. What are the chances? What are the things that can come? That's why we get so many beautiful things that are man-made. But all of it's obviously inspired by that beginning.
Yeah.
You know, that early stage of exploration where you're free to just kind of figure out things.
Yeah.
And then hopefully along the way somebody says, you know, here's a brush, or here's a pen,
Yes.
or here's, you know, a piano, or, you know, here are these numbers, you know, play with these numbers and see what you can come up with, you know, and then, you know, continue to build on that, you know. But a lot of it's, again, rooted in problem solving, you know, and figuring out, I got these things in my head and I got to get them out, and I need some medium to get them out of me.
Yeah.
You know, some way, some method of getting this out of me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I see it.
And you said, you know, like sometimes you just kind of need someone to like hand you a brush, or, you know, whatever the medium is per se for the analogy. And, you know, you have lived in other places. Obviously from here, grew up here, but lived in other places. But you chose to specifically come back to your community.
Right.
And literally be that, right? The person that hands people
the
brushes,
right.
And the proverbial brushes. And you chose that specifically for the community in which you grew up in. Mm-hmm. And you are unapologetic about the fact that it is also for Black people.
All the way. All the way.
With standing 10 toes on that shit. You know what I'm saying? You love everybody, but you came back for the nickels.
SOB, standing on business. Indeed.
Like, what are the things that kind of led you to, or the inspiration around specifically like, no, I'm going to my community that I grew up in, and I'm going to make sure that I have a hand in, and I don't know if you looked at it that way, but you have a hand in making sure that creativity continues to exist in your city in a way that is beneficial to your city. Because if your artists are benefiting, then that means the culture and the society and the creativity and the ingenuity and all those things that drive it forward, right? You talked about Dallas originally being, I don't know the exact phrasing you said to me, but it was something along the lines, it was supposed to be the city of the future, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And you have chosen to come back to your city after wherever you have traversed mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In the country and out of the country, and have a hand in literally almost like a legacy of creativity in this city.
Sure.
So like, what was the inspiration for that specifically of like, no, I'm coming back to do it where I'm from? And specifically for the nickels.
Yeah.
Strictly for the nickels.
Strictly for them.
The real nickels.
All the way. No, as a teenager, I mentioned my cousin earlier, who's my partner in crime in terms of all kinds of things that we found ourselves in, and we would have these old man conversations, you know. So I was an old man early in life.
You've been an old man forever.
I've been an old man forever. But he and I would talk about, you know, the community that we lived in, you know, and it wasn't hard to tell after you get up, you know, and you move around the city and you see like there's parts of this place that's a lot better than where I live, you know, but wanting to have more and better things for yourself. We were having a conversation, and I know it was in high school, and we were like, man, you know, how do you affect change in your neighborhood, in your community? You know, and these are like, we just had that desire that we wanted, because we just wanted better for where we live, mm-hmm. you know, not always knowing how or what. But one of the things that we arrived at, without any adult, you know, intervention in our conversation, was you got to be there. You know, you got to be a part of the change that you want to see. And I know that sounds very cliche, but it's the truth. Mm-hmm. You know, we didn't have all the resources or the inspiration around us every day. And we end up getting those things outside of our respective neighborhoods and communities. But we realized, like, in order for that to happen where we live and where we grew up, it needed to be present, clear and present. And so I don't know where that clairvoyance comes from with that conversation, but it really set, you know, on my spirit that, you know, if I was going to try to make my neighborhood and community better, I needed to be here. So plans to go off to college, and everybody that I would come across to have a conversation with, and I would tell them those very words. Yeah, I'm getting my education so I can go back to my neighborhood and my community. And
it did it too.
Yeah, and it resonated with people because there are plenty of people that I was cool with, that I went to college with, that would tell you like, yeah, that's all he ever says. And he get his degree, he going back to where he came from or whatever. And it didn't even make sense, to folks that I was, circling around and having conversations with in college. But it was a mission, personal mission, and it took a long time to get back to that point. And a lot of things happened in between. But coming here and specifically being here at this facility and being in this role is, you kind of gotta be careful what you put out into the world. Because it can come back, it can come true. You can speak things into life and then move in a way such that you, one, allow them to happen, but two, that you are intentional about them happening. And so I think that was it. It was like, I'm gonna take my talents and my skills and my ability back to the neighborhood and community that I live in and try to be that very thing that I was saying at 15, 16 years old. And so that's kind of how I even arrived at it. Is just, one, there just wasn't, not even in my family, wasn't examples of the kinds of things that I wanted to experience, so or see as inspiration. So it just took some time for me to go away from where I'm from, which is what I always recommend. Don't get so.
Can we pause right there?
Yeah.
Because I think that specific thing, it deeply affects how you come back.
True.
Right?
Indeed.
Like what you would do if you, not one is better or worse, but what you would do if you would have stayed here versus what you would do having gone somewhere else and come back, and the perspective that it gives you.
Absolutely.
Is definitely something different. Can you speak to like how going somewhere else kind of in any way affected or altered or shifted when you come back, how you go about what you go about, or even how you look at your city?
Yeah. Summer 1990.
Freaknik. No, I'm just playing. I don't know what Freaknik was.
Freaknik hadn't been invented yet. But oh boy.
Come back.
I'm sorry. So I'll go back just a little bit before summer 90, but I was fortunate enough to have, family members who had took us out of the city, whether it was going to the country to visit, relatives, and just getting out of the hardness of the harshness of the city, to little jaunts that we would take to Arkansas. For a week or so. But it was specifically summer of 1990 when I took a trip to summer camp, and it was to Colorado. And we were on this, two 18-passenger vans, I think, or 15 or 18-passenger vans of kids, black and white, packed in and riding up to Buena Vista, Colorado. I didn't know where the hell that was, but we were in the van, because this guy who ran a Christian youth group said, I think y'all should go, and try the summer camp out. And we did, and it was life-changing for me. It was mind-blowing. In the middle of the woods, mountains just, towering over your head, rivers as clear as the water, that's coming out of your, clearer, than the water coming out of your faucet. And just being outdoors, and nothing is, straight, hard edge curbs and corners and buildings and things. Everything is organic. You know, the trees, the mountains, the water, the fish, everything.
The bodies, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ain't a single BBL out there.
None.
I'm just like,
That wasn't even a thing. You know, wasn't
all
even
things
a
from
thing.
nature, they ain't got set shapes.
They
you know
don't.
what I'm
They
saying?
don't. It
They
ain't
come
perfect.
in all.
They are perfectly imperfect.
That's a whole other episode. but
It
go
is.
ahead.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I'm here for it though. Just let me know. But it was that experience of going, spending a week away like that, in a mature, mind frame, where I realized like there's another world outside of where I live. And so I did it 2 summers in a row. And it made me fall in love with like nature. It made me fall in love with just being outdoors and just experiencing what God created, His majesty. And I don't care how many buildings you construct or roads crazy, structures you can design about. There's nothing that can beat God's work, But that experience enlightened me, it shaped me, it changed me, and it made me realize like there's more to life than what was right there immediate in my neighborhood. And so every opportunity I could get from that point, I took it. I wanted to go and explore and live and have experiences because I knew it was going to make me a better person, it was going to enrich me in some way. So that's kind of where I am. It's like, so my daughter is, it was very, very important for me to make sure that she had the same kinds of experiences, but earlier, and understood that she deserved to have those experiences and that there is a world bigger than you, and there are other people who are from different walks of life who deserve respect and attention and care. And that you are a part of that. Yeah. Part of this bigger experiment, called life. So I'm 100% an advocate of like getting outside, and that's what I talk with, artists. They come to me, we have discussions about their work and all of those things, and then
the couch.
Yeah, the couch.
The couch.
We go into it, and I, start.
Ooh, that couch done saved some lives, baby.
Last night, the couch done saved my life.
Yeah, I'm saying.
No, as I feel like as someone who's had some experiences in life, it's important for me to try to share what those are. And so when artists, I have conversations with them, no matter what their discipline is, my inquiry is like, well, what are you doing beyond what's happening right here? You want to be great at home. Oftentimes it requires you to go away, and so because you gain something, important, which is that where you are from is important, but the world is so much bigger and available and ready for you to come experience it. And it will only make you help you gain perspective about where you are, and where you come from. You'll have a reverence for it, but you can look at it with clearer eyes. Yeah. And you won't have this either disdain for it or this outsized reverence for it.
Yeah, it's like dogmatic.
It won't be one of those things. It'll be, I can look at the landscape of this thing and understand it more clearer because I know that there are other things in the world that I have now to compare to it and understand it through a multitude of lenses. Yeah. But your appreciation for where you are, where you come from, I think is that much greater when you go away, and you have those experiences. That it creates a level of validity, but I think a validity that has to do with a clear perspective about what that place is. Yeah. And so you don't have this dogmatic, I hate this place, I can't stand it, keep in mind though, that is the place that raised you. Yeah. And so it's important to understand it, but this outsized, reverence for oh, ain't no place like this, or this, there's no other this or that, wherever you're from. And so I think that's why that going away is important. It just helps you put things into perspective, about where you live, and so when you are able to have clearer eyes about it, I think what you bring back to the table is that much richer, that much better.
Yes, 1,000%.
And
one of the things that you came back and did.
Oh my goodness.
The Juanita Craft Center. Okay, so first of all, because I'm not from here, so people who watch this are probably not from here. Who's Juanita Craft?
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
What did you do as far as what you did to honor her? Because as a side note, as a lead into this, one of the things I was sitting outside earlier today, doing what I do best.
Outside.
And I was reading the wall with the mural for Juneteenth, and I was just deeply reminded that artists and creatives are the kind of like the historians of culture, right? So even if you think about when you're being shown, whatever, even in history class in high school, you're being shown all this information about the past, you're pulling 9 times out of 10 from some form of some artist's interpretation of what was going on at the time to get a better view of things, and so you created something to honor someone who you created history, right? You embedded historian things into the city of Dallas with that project. So can you first speak to who Juanita Craft was?
Absolutely.
R.I.P. to a real one. And
indeed.
And then also, what was the project that you accomplished?
Absolutely. So Juanita Craft was a civil rights leader.
Come on.
Here in Dallas.
You fuck with the Negros.
Hey, always. And the thing that's interesting about it is I'm born at the time, I'm in elementary school at the time that she passes, but she's a civil rights leader who was extremely important to the city of Dallas. Born Texas native, born in Central Texas, Round Rock in particular, a little area outside of Austin, and came to Dallas, saw an opportunity to engage via the NAACP, which is really important to the work that she did. But major highlights of desegregation of State Fair of Texas, desegregation of University of Texas School of Law, starting over 100 chapters of NAACP across Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma. And she made a few trips to D.C. She was invited by the president a number of times. Yeah, she did a thing, but she also cultivated civic engagement with the youth, and many of the young people that she touched and worked with went on to do important things, But what I think at the root of it, they saw and learned from her their responsibility for civic engagement. And so she has a whole host of a laundry list of accomplishments. But the thing I think that was most important is that she was a pillar in her community. She believed in the neighborhood and the people, and she used her voice. Used her voice and the power that she developed over time to create a space for our community that was safe, that was empowered, that was rooted in who we are as a people. And so my involvement with Ms. Craft was
giving Stacey Abrams,
Yeah, I mean it's very much a Stacey Abrams, moment, and she's the closest thing that we have to MLK, in this city. She did that kind of work, but here. So where I come into the story is as the manager of the South Dallas Cultural Center, I come in, and one of my responsibilities is not just this facility, but it's that her home,
Yeah.
which was at the time it already been deemed like civil rights, location by the state of Texas. It's had historic designation, but at the time that I come along, which is almost 7 years ago, it was just kind of handed like, okay, this is your responsibility. And having my own background in curation, in museum, in gallery management and those things, I walk into the house for the very first time and experience it the way previous administrators had sought to tell her story. And much of the house was kind of the way she'd kept it.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, just walk into a living room, the chairs and the TV and the things, and there's pictures on the wall, and you just kind of walk into the house that she might have lived in, in terms of experience that you have.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go on, I go on to realize like, I gotta do something about some of the problems that have, just from neglect of the house and all of those things. So fast forward, I started working with some of the colleagues and people that I, developed relationships with and networked with to bring attention to the house, because I just determined like, we need to turn this into a real house museum. We need to make this official. So it was a 5-year journey that culminated in, well, more like a 6-year journey, culminated in the reopening of the house as the Juanita J. Craft Civil Rights House and Museum.
Come on now.
Yeah, as of May 20th,
Stepped
2023.
Did a little magic, 6 years of it, stepped out, made a museum.
Yeah, it was.
You just be saying shit like it's normal. It's like, yeah, I started this and then I just made a museum and then I went home. Sat outside in my backyard.
I don't mean to make it so simple. It was indeed a journey.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was very worthwhile. And my thing is, I hope that she would be proud of what we created. Mm-hmm. And I say we because it was a team effort. Lots of people who had hands in making this happen. But, I also have to remember and had to learn this, in my close to 50 years, is like giving myself the credit that it took to at least be the person who ignited the effort and bringing on those folks who help me bring her story to life.
Yes.
And so I'm very, very happy with what we created, very proud of it. And it's there for people to enjoy, but I think most importantly, I think it's about Miss Craft and people understanding who she was and why she was important to not just Black culture, but to our American culture, especially in this day and time where we, have so many people who are trying to pull at, the strings and unravel all the accomplishments that, we've had. And so that is, a foundational piece to this neighborhood and community. And it's important to Dallas, and enough people recognize it and put through their support behind it.
Yeah.
And so, from the design team to the architects to the folks of us who were, in the trenches fundraising and doing community meetings and all the things to make it happen.
Yeah.
But it was worth it, because you go to the house and every time I'm in there, I get little chills, because it's like, damn, we actually did this, It happened, it came to pass, and so very proud of it.
And to that point, you're like, you did this. You took this idea and you brought it into fruition, which is from my conversations with you, that ability, that sense of it is inspired by another beautiful woman by the name of Juanita.
Yes. The most beautiful.
You know what I'm saying?
The most beautiful.
I'm like, I feel like, Juanita Craft House got a little ode to Juanita, whatever Mama's last name was,
Yeah. Juanita May.
There you go.
Juanita May.
And I think I There's this thing I joke with one of my friends about. There's actually a movie about it now that's coming out. But this sense of like a magical Negro, right?
Yeah, I can't wait to see that.
That's gonna be good, right?
I know it's gonna be good.
Oh, we gonna put it on the list.
Yes.
But it's kind of this sense of this person in your journey that kind of comes out of nowhere and like helps you along.
Yeah.
In this way, and almost like a sense of like a fairy god, mother, father, parent, whatever. Doesn't
Sure.
matter, right? But I feel like you are that to people. I think you are that to artists.
Wow.
1,000. What? You are 1,000% a magical Negro.
Okay.
Literally, I was like, when I was speaking about Chris and how he was bouncing around the space, I was like, he just bouncing around like a little wise, happy, joyous, magical Negro. And I was like, all you and your friends just a bunch of magical Negroes? Like, is that what you are? The Association of Magical Negroes in Dallas?
Look,
Like,
you know, maybe.
like, what the heck?
Yeah.
But can you speak to kind of where you get that from? That sense of like, you can find someone on their journey and you can help it along without, you find joy in it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Can you
Yeah.
speak to like where does that come from?
That is the very person that you spoke of earlier.
Yeah.
This other Juanita, the most important Juanita that I know, which is my grandmother.
Yes.
She is the original, the OG magical Negro.
Come on now.
You
Much
know.
honor to her.
Yeah, shout out to her. There's no one like her, and she made me believe that I could do anything. You know, I was a curious, just little kid who, you know, was always messing with stuff and tinkering and all the things. And she didn't have a whole lot of resources and everything, but the most important thing that she had was this level of encouragement in me, to make me believe, like, yeah, if you set your mind to something, yeah, of course you can do it. There was never really a no, you know. And she obviously didn't want me doing things that would, you know, where I would find myself in danger or hurt myself. I was doing that anyway.
I was gonna let it slide.
Oh, I was all the way outside.
I was gonna let it slide.
Don't worry about it. You don't have to let anything slide. I was into stuff, you know, just like any little boy in the hood, you know, would be. But yeah, so it was. She paid attention to me, you know, and that's I think the key, you know, and I'm very, very adamant about the importance of paying attention to who you're talking to, you know, and not just speaking in generalities, you know, because I think that's how you breathe life into somebody's dreams, is you got to know what the damn dreams are in the first place. And if you're not listening, if you're not paying attention, then all this, this cloud speak is what I call it, because it's all this. Oh, I'm gonna speak a word over this. I'm gonna say this affirmation to myself and all this kind of stuff.
Yes.
You know, sometimes that is just noise, when it's important to just be quiet and pay attention.
Yeah.
You know, even to yourself. You know, and so I think that's what it was about her. Is like I have to say this, and I know this is going to sound crazy, because she could have said it to any of her children or grandchildren, but when I got up to probably college age or whatever, I remember her distinctly telling me, like, you are one of my favorites, you know, and that was real. Like, I get a little in my throat right now thinking about it, because she didn't have to, you know. She could love me without having say that, but she said that to me, and it made me feel like, you know, I could go to the freaking moon, you know. But then it was just the encouragement, you know, whatever it was I was doing. Like, I wasn't even sure that I was going to go to college, you know, but with a little her help, obviously, and a couple of other people, you know, it was, you know, I was on my way. But it was like that kind of thing, and that's what has stayed with me, because I know what it does and what it can do for people when you believe in them.
Yeah.
When you show them that you have a care, concern, that you're really listening and paying attention to specific things, you know, that they're wanting to do or they're trying to do, and you just try to be there for them in word, at least, to say, yeah, of course you can do that, you know. But if you're in a position to help make it happen, then that's what you do.
Yes.
You know, that's what I do. That's what my grandmother did for me.
Yeah.
And I watch her do it for other people. Even when people weren't believing in themselves or their own dreams, she was doing it, you know. And so that was my experience, you know, of her. And that's what I carry forward. And so I try not to let anybody around me not feel that. I try to make sure everybody around me feels that. Yeah. So being in a position now where people come and we sit and we talk and I listen and they tell and everything, I'm just always in a position of first making sure that they know I heard them, making sure they know that I believe in what they're trying to do, and then finally trying to be a resource in some way to help bring those things to life, you know, and breathe life into them. So my deal is, I am not the cul-de-sac. I am a conduit. You know, if you catch what I'm saying.
Give it.
It's like a cul-de-sac is catches. A conduit allows things to flow through them, and I think that's the way we all should be. You shouldn't just be here receiving all the time. You should be allowing things to flow through you, and being a resource and a blessing, you know, as we say in our community, to others. Being a blessing to others, being a light, you know, that shines.
Bright.
Yeah, brightly shines it for somebody, shining with them.
Come on now.
Shining on them, and then turning their light on.
Come on now.
Yeah.
What? Motherfucker, what?
You are
shit.
A mess.
All I gotta say is, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna cut this part, play it back to you when I be getting choked up about shit. You be like, you don't gotta go. And I be like, no, but like, remember when you talk about people believed in you? And you got all choked up. That's how I feel right now.
There it is. I get it. I got you. I got you.
But yes, I mean, you know, the couch, I say that, you guys don't know what that is, but it's like, it's the couch in your office. And it is a space that, your office is a little safe haven. I'm trying to make sure I balance not taking it over.
You weren't successful today, but it's okay.
For surely take your entire office over today.
It was a takeover today, but it's all good.
Nation takeover. But not only is it's like, there's so many things that happen in that office to me. It's like, you can go in there and get what you need as an artist. You know, like you can go in there and get perspective on something. You can go in there and get a connection to somewhere else. Because if you can't do it, you're going to make sure that you're going to find a connection to the best of your ability. Yeah. And you can also go in there, and the thing that gets me emotional is always the soft space to land. Because the doing is difficult, right? The bringing into the 3 dimension that you brought up, like taking an idea and bringing it into fruition. The doing is difficult, but for someone who, like me personally, I can at least say, I know Haley's the same way, that has hustle to them, that doesn't scare me, that doesn't unnerve me. It is like the internal process that you have to go through to birth something into fruition, right? The same way, I guess I like it, or I think it's akin to childbirth, right? It's you're the portal, and at some point, yes, you do have this child that you can touch, feel, sense, and see, but you have to spend a good amount of time doing a lot of shit, initially fun, but then in the middle, doing a lot of things to like bring this thing into fruition, and it changes you. It changes your body. It changes your perspective. It changes yourself. You could go into postpartum. There's all of these things that the internal, the emotional, that part is the most difficult part. To me, I'm like, if it's just a matter of work, I can work and do things. My work ethic is fine. It's the trying to navigate this all the time that is really, really difficult. And the couch is the couch that myself and many others come to be like, John, I need you to help me get this right today. And I always see you just go, okay. And you're so present too. Like, you don't be on your phone, you don't be doing on your computer. When you seriously stop and you listen and you let people put it there and you help direct and you help shape, and it's like you are, to me, literally a magical Negro. Like, for artists.
Oh man,
like,
that's funny.
You know, and I say that to say, like, I'm sure, you know, Miss Juanita is proud. Like,
I hope so.
Like, how could she not be? You literally took the thing that you thought was most beautiful about her and kept it alive, and you act on it every day.
I hope so, man. I mean, you know, there was definitely a point I lived to just try to make her proud, you know, early, you know, obviously through college, and then, you know, in my early 20s, you know, it was about making her proud. And I just remember I got a chance to see her before she passed. Went to the hospital, and I forgot exactly what had happened. Something that I had that was about to transpire that I felt was significant, and I shared it with her. And she still had enough clairvoyance to say, you know what, I'm proud of you, and you're always trying to better yourself. You're just always trying to better yourself, and I'm proud of that. And man, I came unglued. Yeah. You know, because that's what I was for. That was what I was after. And you know, she passed when I was in my early 30s. But still, you know, it was important, you know, for that. So yeah, I try to carry that forward. And I think it didn't really occur to me that this was a thing for me until probably my late 30s, you know, early 40s, that, you know, I was carrying that torch. I think I was already kind of in the practice of, or, you know, the habit of being, you know, what you've described, you know, here, now.
Yes.
But, yeah, you know, I just feel like when you take the time to sit down and listen to somebody because they come to you to, you know, it's important that you do that. Yeah. You know, and that you pay attention and that you speak to whatever it is, because I watched her do it. Yeah. You know, for so many, you know, for her own kids and grandkids, for people who are acquaintances of our family, you know, those who come and go. And she was tough, don't get me wrong.
As
she was real. Yeah, she was real.
She should. She was strong to be a black woman, of course. Got to
be. Which is one of the reasons why I have so much reverence for black women. But, you know, because of her. But it's also just that, you know, there was more love. And she was only tough when she had to be. You know. But it was always the love. Yeah. And even in her toughness, it was love. It's like, damn, how do you do that? Golly.
Did you just slap the shit on me and love me?
And love me at the same time. Yeah, like, golly.
Also, let me pick my face up off the ground.
Yeah, you know, reattach my jaw.
Right. I'm going to go get that X-ray and go about my motherfucking business.
Yeah, go on about my way.
Yes.
Yeah, so, you know, yeah, it was important. I think it's important to me to take that and use it and wield it for good. Yeah. You know, wield it in the same way that she did, you know, in the best way I know how. You know, I am not her, but I am definitely a receiver and derivative of her. And the fact that that's the gift that she gave me, I feel, makes me feel all the more responsible for trying to be that,
Yeah.
for others, and seeing and recognizing that, somebody is in need of some encouragement, in need of some resources, some empowerment, some, an ear to listen to, whatever it is that's troubling them, or whatever it is that they're dreaming up or cooking up in their heads, and they want to try to make it happen. And I'm like, yeah, come on, let's figure it out.
Fair. And you talked about that statement she had of like, you always are looking to better yourself. And so before I even ask about that aspect, I do want to be like, have you had a Snoop moment, where you have this moment where you actually consider what you've accomplished in these 49 years and be like, damn, I thank me. Like, have you given consideration to like all of those things that have played into wanting to come back to Dallas, the inspiration of of your grandmother, the things you actually physically accomplished, both in, the actions of the craft house or the artist residency, but also just like in teaching and the inspiration that you've put in people that then go inspire others as artists and creatives? Like, have you had the moment to be like, well, damn, 5 decades, nigga, I did that.
No.
I got 5 more. But them first 50 was up, bitch.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question, and if I was being honest, no.
What a man. Y'all need
What
to
a man,
take care
what a
of
man,
yourself.
what a man, what a mighty good
What a
man.
mighty good man.
Hey, that's what the song say.
Come on now.
No, I
Got it.
that's you know that, right?
Kitty. Kitty.
No, I don't. I don't, because I'm just so focused on continuing to move forward. I'm not one for reflecting too much, because there are hard things there. There are hurtful things, and there was a period, especially in my early 30s, where I had to do some real soul searching, and having some real honest conversations with myself. Nobody else involved. Like, man, who are you and where are you going? What have you done? What are the things?
Self-guilt like jail.
Man.
Killer Mike said that was hell.
It was hell.
The reason that I failed. Come on now.
But if it wasn't for God, I probably wouldn't be able to do the things.
Never would have made it.
100%. 100%, So yeah, I don't, to your Killer Mike reference, I think he said something about, you have your moment, and then you got to keep pushing, because who gonna hold his weight? Who's gonna be responsible for the things that are that need somebody to be responsible for them? And so that's work, that's family, that's friends, that's my child, my daughter, who's now a grown woman essentially. That's for all the people that I haven't met yet. So I don't even know that I will sit and just kind of reflect on what I've done or accomplished, because I don't think that's for me. I think it's for somebody else. For me, it's about what's next.
Like me.
You. But yeah, I don't really think I have. I think there are moments where if something has come to pass in that moment, like the craft house, or getting my daughter off to college, or selling, seriously selling my first work of art, or
I was about to say, sir, do not incriminate yourself if you was trapping. Not on the camera.
Ma'am.
Your artwork.
My artwork. See, this is.
I can't not be me.
Look, and then I come in. But no, I think about like what he said. He was referring to he's like, oh yeah, I'm a cry, He's like, I can't spend all day crying.
Yeah.
You know, like I get it out, and then I gotta keep moving because it's stuff that's people got to be taken care of. And you know what I might get overwhelmed by at times is all the things that I'm responsible for.
Yes.
You know, I think that weighs on me, but not necessarily, oh, look what I've done. You know, never that. It's like whatever happens in that moment, that is great, and that, oh, look, you know. But the craft house is over there. It's done. That work is done. It's over in terms of like getting it to where we needed it to be. You know, and so now that's gone. So, yeah, I can point to it and it's like, oh yeah, you know, this is what it was, how we got here, like early, and I explained how the steps to get in there. But no, it's not like, oh, I'm sitting back like, look at these last 50 years. Boy, look at nah, never that. Never that.
Well,
Because it's just about forward movement.
whether you're going to do it or not.
Yes.
Nigga, you done some things.
A few things, a few things, a few things. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I think legacy is one of my things is I want to feel as though I have some sense of legacy, you know, by whatever age. And I think the easy way to look at that is having your name in something or somewhere, whatever. But for me, it's, have I done enough things that have inspired enough other people who are then going to go and create and inspire other things? Because that is really what like the ripple effect is.
Bam.
So one of my favorite podcasts that's from the first podcast I ever listened to that inspired a lot of what I've done creatively. Like, I'm like, if I ever meet y'all in real life, which I think one day I might, I'm like,
Of course you will.
I'm like, I just want to let them know, like, y'all are legends, because whatever my work does, it wouldn't exist if your work didn't exist. So that means at this stage already, you are legendary, right? Like the thing that you have done in life has passed on to other people, and that is being utilized in some way, and in a way that's meant to enrich and embolden and make people feel better or think critically or whatever. It's supposed to be constructive in some manner.
Yeah.
And so whether or not you want to snoop, you know what I'm saying? You're a legend.
Okay. If you say so, I receive that.
I mean, all magical Negroes are legends.
Well, look.
Legend of Bagger Vance, you know what I'm saying? A little Bagger Negro too.
Indeed. I think as I'm processing what you're saying, and I think for me, if there was something to reflect on, it's the ground game.
What's that?
It's the day in, day out person. You know, it's that couch. You know, and knowing that the door is open.
Yeah.
And that I can touch lives. You know, it's not the big grand things. It's about the individuals who come through across my path that I can try to help.
Yeah.
You know, not help in the way of, you know, oh, you downtrodden and that kind of thing. But it's like, you already trying to do something and I see it and I'm here for it, you know, and let's ride.
Yeah.
You know, and let me see what I can do to help. And as long as you're willing to receive the help, I'm going to give it. You know, and so that's what I mean by the ground game. It's not, oh, look what amazing thing that transpired over here. No, it's not that. It's the people who I know, just like my grandmother, who will come back, you know, time and time again, and or the one and dones, even in certain instances where, you know, it's that one conversation. But in that conversation, it was impactful to the point where that person felt like they can go. And it's always the thing that brings my heart joy is it's always the people who have been able to be in contact with that way, who will come back and say, man, you know, so I listened to what you said and then I went and did. And I'm like, fantastic. You know, that brings me more joy, because I had something to offer. It wasn't that I'm, I'm wise man, come sit at my feet and I will explain the ways of the world. Hell no. It ain't none of that.
You are a wise man. And you get your feet done. So they would be
for all of you. Now
decent
you know.
feet to sit on.
All of y'all know that now.
First of all, niggas, get your feet done. What the fuck are we talking about?
I mean,
y'all know.
I recommend it.
I'm like, shoot, John could give y'all a class or two on some things about being a gentleman. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, this is
fashion game on lock. You know what I'm saying? Smell game on lock.
Wow.
Toes probably look good. You know, I ain't personally seen them, but I'm sure they look great.
Summertime is coming.
Summertime. Come on now.
Summertime is
Sun's
coming.
out, guns out.
Look, there it is. But yeah, I think that's the thing that is, you know, that's the thing that I like reflecting on.
Yeah.
It's like, and the thing is about that, and I'll tell you why, it's not just about the piece about my grandmother. It's when I finished school, even before I finished school, and I'm talking about college, there wasn't a person there to say, here's the way, here's the path, these are the things that, you know, that you should consider, you should think about, you should do. So I feel like when I say ground game, it's like filling in the gaps,
Yes.
you know, of people's lives, you know, and having the information and the resources and the thought process and the lumps, you know, and all of those things that this thing called wisdom, you know, that we hopefully gain come from, and being able to say, all right, here it is. I see what you want to do, and here are some ways you can go about doing it. You know, but then at the same creative problem solving,
full circle.
Yeah, but also just, you know, like you said, also the rest in the mind that, all right, I'm out here grinding, you know, trying to make some things happen, and yeah, come on in and talk to me about that and get that off your chest. But it usually never stops there.
You know what I'm saying? They come back, they do yoga in the office.
Which is wild to me.
They
but I'm
light your candles, turn on your playlist, and invite people in there to do yoga. And I came in like, nigga, what are y'all doing in here? Brittany, get out.
That
Sorry.
That is gold.
I was like, is this not a safe space to do whatever I want? No, okay. My bad.
But yeah, it doesn't. It never really stops there. It starts with the work and the conversation about things that, you know, someone is trying to accomplish. But that's again where I think my grandmother comes in, because it's all right, now that we got those things out of the way, how are you?
Yeah.
You know, how are you doing? Where are you? Mentally, spiritually, you know, physically, you know, are you taking care of yourself? Are you getting rest? You know, the giving yourself time and space to breathe. And I'll try to always end my conversations with folks as they depart is like self-care is important on all levels. It's not just about getting good sleep at night, or, you know, or eating a balanced meal and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of prescriptive, but it's like, what are the things you're doing to give your mind the space and room to just be? Yeah. You know, it doesn't always require you to get on a plane to go somewhere. You know, these are the things that you can. You know? Yeah. No stems, no seeds, no sticks.
Come on, baby!
See, this is what I'm talking about right here. This is what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's important that, you know, because I try to exercise that as much as I can. And I don't always get to, but it's important, you know, and I try to just drive home to people it's important. So at some point in the beginning or the end of the conversation, or both, there's going to be some of that in there, because the work is the work. Yeah. You know, but if you ain't right,
the work ain't right.
The work ain't right.
Come on now. And my last thing is this confidence you have about yourself. It's the face.
I don't know, y'all. I don't know what she's talking about.
It's this confidence you have, and it is an aspect of your character that I think is very necessary, but also just like very, very beautiful, because what that confidence does specifically how I view it anyway, what that confidence does specifically in what you do is your confidence in your love of self, because you love you.
I do.
It's very clear to me
get that?
that you love you by many means, and I'm here for it. I love it. But it allows you to the point of that light earlier, right? Where it's like, if I love myself, if I'm confident in myself, I can shine my light, and it doesn't have anything to do with anybody else around me needing to dim it. If anything, I hope yours shines brighter. We can shine together, like whatever that is.
Yeah.
And specifically to hold a space where there are a lot of lights coming to your lighthouse all the time, and you being someone who is holding that responsibility well, because you're not putting out anybody's flame.
Yeah.
You're literally like reinvigorating, that light for other people.
Sure.
And allowing people and pushing people, honestly, to kind of like love themselves.
Yeah.
And you and I talk about specifically when it comes to Black people, that sense of like self-worth and self-love being such a critical thing that we have to have, because it's been stripped of us in so many different ways throughout history. So if you could, I have a couple of questions. Hopefully you remember them all. But
all good.
One being, how has loving yourself grown over time?
Okay.
Okay. If you have any way to talk about how you build your confidence, or how you move through the world with confidence, I would love to know that. And I'll repeat all of them if you need to be. I don't know why I'm throwing them all at you right now.
It's okay.
But we're here. And then the other one would be, what would you say to Black men specifically about how to go about cultivating a continued sense of self-love?
Okay.
I don't know why I threw 3 questions at you at the same time. I have no idea. That made no sense.
I don't
but
know
here we
why
are.
you expected me to remember, so we will repeat it.
I got them down.
So the first question was around,
how has your sense of self-love grown over time?
how has my sense of self-love grown over time? I can tell you, I was a nerdy kid who...
Which is so shocking to me.
No, I was a little nerdy, a little goofy, a little standoffish, but I think in part it's my mother and my grandmother who kind of laid the foundation. One, my mother, in terms of, she would not let me go out of the house just looking any kind of way.
Crispy, my nigga.
Crispy, all the time. It was like, now this is what it is.
I don't think the camera can see your shoes.
Oh, I don't know.
What are those?
What
are those? No, literally though.
These are the Jordan 1 Bordeaux.
Of course, okay. In maroon and what is that, silver?
Yes.
High top, baby. But go ahead, sorry.
But yeah, they really kind of laid the foundation, I think, for me, as it relates to just kind of that, all right, this is the outward aspects of who you are. My grandmother with the whole, you can do anything. So I wasn't afraid to try stuff.
Yeah.
And go places and do things that, sometimes either other family members or friends wouldn't want to do. I think around high school, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I was a kid who rolled into school with, shirt and tie in a place where everybody was rocking starter jackets and LA Kings hats, that kind of thing. And I got a lot of flack for it, but it didn't change. I just
You've been
continued
a grown-ass
it.
nigga forever.
A long time. A long time.
Popped out the pussy as a grown-ass man. That is a crazy thing to say.
It is. It is. But okay.
This is who I am.
I know it. But that's you. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's like authentic. I get it. Yeah, I just, I had that about me, and I carried it forward through, most of my adult life. And I got into all kinds of shenanigans like any, adolescent and even shenanigans as, an adult. But that was always the foundation. And then I hit my 30s. I ended up divorced after being married for about 5 years. And I went through a bit of a crisis, because I was really trying to find myself. I was angry about a lot of things that I didn't realize I was angry about. And I had to confront, a lot of my own demons. But I think once I got past that point, I realized, like, you know what, regardless of all the things that I have been and then maybe even what I could be, I had to learn to just accept myself for who I am.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the most cliche statements again, but I really am adamant about that. And that takes some time to do some inventory.
Yeah. Fair.
Some real inventory about your life, about the things that happen to you and the things that are your triggers that you don't even realize they are. You can be in and out of relationships and not even understand like what the problem is. And you pointing to everybody else and not ever looking at yourself and saying like, what is wrong with you? And it's okay to say that there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And I think it's best. Because we always have people who lead with, I'm not perfect. But we always, why do people even say that? Nigga, we know. Let's get to what we really came here to talk about.
Which is what the fuck is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? And I had to decide, figure out what was wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I did
I'm not perfect is an excuse to not actually look at your imperfection.
Right.
1000%, yes.
Right. And so, that when you lead with that leads me to believe that you're not ready to really deal with you. So you're gonna give me just enough, or whoever, just enough to say, okay, here's my little imperfection here and there, and not a whole sort of inventory of like what is made you be who you are, brought you to this point.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be worked out in therapy. Sometimes people rely on religion, and fall deep into religion to try to get. I think I had a combination of things. But it was a small period. But once I got past that point, it's like, hey, this is me. And so you either take it or you leave it, But it also made me figure out like the things that I want, and what I was willing to compromise on and what I was not. And so hence comes the confidence.
Yeah.
Because once you know who you are, you can be honest, and it's very important you be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Even before you are honest with other people. Because people can, pull at that and then weaponize it.
1000%.
Women.
Go ahead.
Yeah. They can pull at it and weaponize it.
I ain't say that. I don't want no smoke, but go ahead.
Yeah. So you pick and choose who you decide to go into that honesty, about, but you can always just be honest with yourself, and it's important to. And then the confidence comes from that.
That's fair. That's fair. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
It's that your confidence is directly correlated to how much honesty you can have with yourself.
That's right.
Yeah, that's real.
That's right. I mean, it's because otherwise it's false.
Yeah.
Because it's a show for everybody else. Even the person who's who comes across as the most confident has a ton of insecurities.
1000%.
You just don't know what they are.
Yeah. Y'all didn't believe me when I said I had performance anxiety. They were like, you? And I was like, bitch, what? Yes, every time.
Get it?
You know what I'm saying? Laughter is completely a coping mechanism for me. 1000%.
Look, all
1000%. So a lot of my humor is out of moments when I'm very nervous.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Performance-wise.
I get it.
In everyday life, I'm a funny bitch. But like.
Yes, you are.
But like hosting and shit like that, or having to be in crowds, that is 1000% nervous energy just being kind of transferred. And people are like, you're so, and I'm like, no, I close the shit in the brick the entire time, but okay.
Oh, man. No, I say that's good to know because that's good information. Not for me, but like the fact that you.
I don't give a fuck, but I'm glad you know. No, I'm just playing.
No, I do. I do give.
I'm just playing.
I give 1,000 of them. But like that's honest. That's real. That's that. But that allows you to step into the opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of what you might feel. You know, inside you, because you can hold that. Because the opportunity is far more important than any trepidations you might have about the steps it takes to get there. You know, and so
they be trepided though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's like somebody says like fear. When you take it and you use it as a tool to push you.
If you're gonna speak a word, Pastor Spriggins.
These are not mine. These are Nietzsche's. No, it's real because there are a number of moments that I can look to in my own life where I was, like you said, shitting bricks about what was about to happen, but I had to go. And it would have to be you can do this thing, you're just nervous.
Yeah.
Or you just scared, and use that as a means of getting you across, And I feel like one of the things that I've developed is to be able to see myself wherever it is that I want to go.
Creative visualization.
Creative visualization is real, at least for me.
Yeah.
It's the conversation about how did you land here. It's like, I'm 15, 16 years old speaking these things that I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't have any clue about where my future looks like. But it's starting to project into your mind that this thing is going to come to pass.
Yes.
And seeing yourself on the other side of it, So the confidence comes through some real self-inventory.
Yeah.
And that's how I move from the shy, awkward kind of kid who's, figuring his way out in the world to, you do you, because I'm sure in the hell gonna do me. Do your thing. This is what I do over here. This is how I live. This is the way, and this is what I'm comfortable with.
Get it how you live it.
Get it how you live.
You know what I'm saying?
How
Okay.
you living, how you living, how you live.
And you did speak to this, but just in case you want to add anything else, because that last question was, like, what would you say to Black men specifically about cultivating a sense of self-worth and self-love? And you you said a lot of things, but just in case if there's anything else you wanted to add.
No, I think, it really depends on what stage in life you are. I think.
Talk to them. Talk to the young niggas. Whether they're young in age or young in mindset, talk to them, John.
Well,
I'm
those are
single
two
out
of
here.
real.
Talk to these young niggas, because they ain't right. No, just wait. Sorry. I can't.
Yeah, she on one right now. I think there's something that she's trying to get off her chest. No, I honestly, I really think it depends on what stage you are in life, age-wise or otherwise. I think young men need to experience hitting their head against the wall, and I think oftentimes what I'm seeing is not enough of that. There's all the guardrails and the barriers and then the soft landings on everything, as opposed to what is it like to really feel pain, because pain is a teacher.
Woo!
It is a teacher unlike anything else. It is a teacher. I don't care what kind of pain it is. Okay, we're gonna keep you acting right. We're gonna keep you acting
Roll
right.
the dice, but all right.
But yeah, I think it's a stage. I think for, like I said, young men, it's, getting out of the way and allowing them to hit their heads
Yeah.
against the wall, whether they coming at it like a crash test dummy or not, yeah, that's important. I think, 20s and up, experiencing the world, getting the hell out of wherever you are and going and seeing what the world has to offer. Like, damn it, volunteer your time towards something that ain't got nothing to do with you. Volunteer your time, because that, when you take yourself out of it, you realize that there are things that are bigger than you. They're being responsible to others can help shape how you see yourself in the world. And it's humbling, but it's also it's uplifting, because to know that you had a hand in helping somebody else's life be better in some way, it's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
And then you continue to walk in that, and then it's not something you got to do like, this is my life's mission, and everything, but for some it might be.
Yeah.
But also, just, I think the final note I would say is just the whole being honest with yourself. Oftentimes, as men, we lie to ourselves because society wants us to hold this position of authority. They want us to hold this position of accountability and responsibility. And so if you don't have good examples of what those are, you will inevitably stumble and fall over and over again until you get a sense of like yourself. But even with good examples of that, I think it's important to just like remove yourself, from the center of whatever it is, and say, there's somebody else who needs my help, my support, my love, my energy. Sometimes it's your kids, sometimes it's your spouse, sometimes it's family members, sometimes it's just somebody you don't know, with a kind hand and generosity. But just not lying to yourself that you got it all together, just because, and all the accolades and pouring over that you've given me, I still got my own shit that I'm dealing with, and I still got, my own vices and things, and I'm always honest with me. I'm always honest with me, and I decide when I want to share that honesty with others and when I don't.
Fair.
That's my choice. And everybody has the same opportunity. But, I don't lie to myself, which makes it easier for me not to lie to other people, but I can choose not to tell you shit that I don't want you to know. That's the difference between lying. Did I go too far?
No, you're fine.
Okay. That's...
Of course.
Okay.
We be honest.
I'm just trying to be,
That's what
like,
it is.
I ain't got to tell you everything.
Yeah.
That's my choice. And so you use that take it for what it's worth, and you don't have to tell me everything.
Yeah.
That's part of us being able to move and exist in this world on our own terms.
That's fair.
Yeah. And we all should be able to. But my point about the men and removing themselves and doing something for others is like, when you're navigating, that you don't just step on everybody in order to do the things that you need to do or want to do.
Come on. Character. Your character matters.
Character does matter.
Yeah.
It does matter. You don't have to step on everybody in order to get, the things that you want out of life. And if you take some time to care about and give a damn about other people, you will realize, like, I don't have to operate
Yeah.
Like, I'm the center of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the center of the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I think that deeply speaks to, excuse me, especially that transition from like 20s to 30s. There is something there, that 28 to like 32, where you're like, oh, this does not revolve around me.
No.
And also, nobody's coming to save me.
At all.
Damn. Okay.
At all.
All right. Let's get it.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you're a real one, and regardless of what your life is, if you're a real one, you come to that realization, you decide to operate differently.
Yeah.
You know, what we tend to do as men is add on responsibilities, you know, without really thinking about what that means. It means every responsibility you add on, the less important you become. The more important, it's like this duality, the more important you become, but the less important you become.
Yes. The more important you become to others, but the less important you have for yourself in some way.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because all of these people are counting on you.
Yeah.
You know, at job, you know, at home, family and friends, you know. And the more you demonstrated, the more you called on.
Yes. The more people end up on your couch.
There it is. There it is. You know, so you become less than, you know, because you got to be the foundation. You got to be the thing. No, like nobody cares about like, oh man, that's some beautiful concrete. You know, look at that concrete. Man, golly, they laid that concrete.
I feel like that's how men feel about Father's Day. They're like, it comes and y'all just be like, oh yeah, Father's Day. Or they'll be like, you know, they'll be like, my mom was my mom and my daddy. Y'all niggas be like, damn, don't nobody.
Nobody care about us.
They don't give a fuck about this concrete.
Nah, don't care
I
about
guess
the
I'm
concrete.
just about to lay it anyway.
Yeah, I gotta put it there. Because there is a house that's gotta be built on
Right.
this mug, and then without it, we don't have a house.
Fair.
And so everybody talks about how beautiful a home is. You know, your choice in brick, you know, your gutters, your paint colors. Look at the arches on this, you know, hallway and all of these beautiful things. But that foundation, you know, all of that is nothing.
Yeah.
But nobody talks about the foundation.
Yeah.
You know, man, this foundation solid around here. You know, golly. Ooh, man, look at that. They laid that, boy. Like, no. So that's kind of, I mean, that's kind of how I see it. It's like that's what you become. So the more responsibility you have, because that house can't stand without you. You carry the weight of it. But
because that's a whole other episode we can get into about the way when it came to the destabilization of Black people, how important it was for them to remove Black men from their homes.
You gotta attack the foundation. The house will crumble if you attack the foundation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, 1,000%. Yes.
It's this. I mean, it's just facts. You know,
whether it was the prison system, whether it was how, what was it? Was it welfare? Government assistance was set up.
Welfare.
Like all of it was intentioned to like let me make sure that is removed, which is the foundation. That's
the foundation. You can't have a home or a community without those things.
Yes. So I just think in our society right now, it is that like feminine energy is really, it's a swing in the sense of like women now have more access, more power, more all of those things. And I think that there is this huge spotlight that's put on, you know, what women do and what Black women do for our culture. And there's a lot of, it's referenced in a lot of ways, like, oh, a Black woman's gonna be the one to figure out, a Black woman's gonna solve it, or of course the Black woman is holding it up. And 1,000%, we fuck with us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, y'all do.
1,000%. But to our point earlier about specifically like the destabilization of Black communities, I always wanna make sure that it's not forgotten that there are Black men doing great, fantastic work. And even though, social media and all of this other stuff would have us, or media in general, right? Social media is just the most prevalent now. Media over time would always have us kind of assuming that Black men are stereotyped into this space. And there's one or two that might stand out and, be pillars of the community and all of those things. But in reality, I'm like, nah, that's actually significantly more frequent and more common. And in developing this, I did also just want to make sure that I highlighted and honored a Black man that is genuinely a pillar of the community and making an and just as much as all of these other people are very important in the cultivation of not only our society as Black people or our culture as Black people, but our communities, like, y'all matter and we need y'all. And I'm down for anybody that's a real nigga. I don't give a fuck about the biological sex or the gender. I don't need the separation. I don't need none of that. Like, if you a real nigga really doing real shit, then like, you need to be honored. And I don't want that to get lost in this age of, feminine, because we gonna shine. We gonna fucking shine. Yeah. But like, I don't think that means that we need to lose the sense of fantastic, amazing, great Black men that are also really deeply like serving and entrenched in our communities.
There's a lot to discuss and unpack in terms of what you just described, and I think all of it is true. Black women are shining, and having been in a position where they have been the last to be thought about. They figured a way. They figured out a way to propel themselves into the spotlight, into positions of power and authority in varying ways. And I think a lot of it has to do with the network that is Black women, the network of corporate America to sororities and all these other auxiliary kinds of organizations that women have, Black women have associated themselves with or become a part of. And then looking around and wanting to see more of you in that room and in that space is one of the things I even talked about with my wife. I'm like, look, man, y'all are winning, in a way that, others in our culture are not, and there's only two, men and women, obviously, but y'all winning. And it's because y'all all pulling each other along, in a way that is significant, and it's proving out to be beneficial for you guys. I think Black men, at least across the spectrum of Black men that I know, have resigned to just being foundational. I have to go back to that. They're the husbands, the fathers, the uncles, that go to work, that take care of the household, and they don't, as much as they might want the spotlight or the shine, they don't feel like they need it. They just want to be loved and appreciated at home.
Fair.
That it's not about being the most amazing this or amazing that. It's about, look, I just need to be consistent.
Yeah.
For me and for my family, so I don't have to have, vision boards, and I don't have to have, affirmations, spoken over me or me speaking them over myself or anything. I got these responsibilities I got to take care of that I signed up for. And so that's what I'm here to do, So as long as I'm given a little bit of space, and oftentimes it's a little bit of space to just be, from the people who I've decided to be responsible for, I'm good. it's when that space is infringed upon or not even recognized, you know, because women are out there just killing it and they're doing a thing, and I think sometimes it's forgotten. You know, it's not acknowledged that, you know, foundational.
Yeah.
This dude is taking care of, like, I can always look back and see the consistency,
Yeah.
you know, in who he is and what he's done. He ain't going nowhere, and regardless of whatever ups and downs that might have arisen, he's there to support me and see me rise, because that's what I see happening. I see happening more often in these black women who rise, especially that are in long-term relationships, that they have men who are like, go kill it. You know, you don't have a man hating on, tell me when you seen a man hating on a black woman winning.
I mean, I have, but I get what you're saying.
No, a real man.
A real nigga never.
That's my point.
Fair statement. I've never seen a man. Thank you. Come on. You right. Come on.
That's where and you gotta.
The church of Spriggins. The
so
doors are open.
It's like, I don't know.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. 1000%.
Like a man looking around and hating on a sister winning. I don't see it.
Fair.
Now you have some.
Yeah.
I could call some choice words. I'm not going to.
Yes.
Though that group of people, they ain't even worth the time.
Fair.
You know, but a man, you know, ain't gonna.
Won't he do it?
Yeah, he wants to see you win. You know, and it's gonna be there to see you get that, whatever it is, that business off the ground and running it and making it successful, or see you get that role, that position in whatever job, you know, or support the dreams of and the things, especially when they're, you know, they're happening and you're seeing those things mature and grow and evolve. Most men that I know are like, go get it, you know, go get it. It's just don't forget over here, you know, holding it down, you know, and being the foundation. You know, like I told you before, the foundation don't get talked about. It don't get cared for, and it's only when it cracks. Only when it slips that anybody ever really pays attention to the foundation. You expect that motherfucker to just stay solid, you know, for as long as it can, you know. But you know, now you gotta, if it cracks, you got some real repair to do. So the goal is not to let the foundation crack so the house can stand.
Whew. This audio worked this time. You had a word. He said, let me turn back on. I ain't got nothing to say. You know what I'm saying? You gotta talk to him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just, yeah, that's key and important. So, you know, go out, be as successful as you can be, black woman, and do all the amazing things that you are fully capable of doing, and don't need nobody else to tell you that you are capable of doing. 100%. I think that's where I am with it. You know, with that point.
We will end it with, be a real nigga.
Always. Always.
But no, honestly, we will end it that way. But also, it's to say, this is a acknowledgement and a celebration of you being a foundation for many.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Shout out to the real niggas.
Gotta put the cap on it. Gotta
Shout
put the
out to
cap
the real
on it.
niggas.
Always. Always.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you for coming.
Indeed.
Thank you for being
here. It's been
here.
a great conversation. I enjoyed
I hope
it.
people can hear it. I'm about to cut.
Oh man.
Yo.
It's gonna work out. It's gonna work out.